Hello and welcome back to The Fostered. I am your host, Angel Foster. I am so excited to have you here today because we have a very special guest. Today we have the lovely Divine Philomond, a.k.a. Vine Philo. I'm sure you've seen her all over TikTok and Instagram. She is literally one of my favorite people to follow because I'm just obsessed with all her pop culture takes, her crazy dating stories. I think she is absolutely hilarious, and if you're not following her already, you definitely should be now. Her podcast, POV You're My Therapist, is literally my go-to podcast. I am obsessed with it. I was literally listening to it in the gym today, cracking up, actually LOLing, because she is hilarious. I feel like people in the gym were looking at me like, is she okay? And I relate to her so much. I am so happy that she said yes to do the podcast. I kind of treat podcast guests as low-key like friend first dates to see like, could we be friends in real life? And most of the time it's yes. Like I really feel like the people I follow online, like we could be friends, and I definitely feel like that about Divine. We talked for over an hour and we could have kept talking, but I had to cut it short because one, I didn't want y'all to suffer through that, and two, I didn't want to cut this episode into two parts. But I definitely want to have her on again if she is willing and down to do so. We did lose the first 5 minutes of this podcast because she was having some Wi-Fi troubles, so those are gone, but it is absolutely okay because like I said, we talked for over an hour. Like we got the bulk of it. This is not like the typical episode of The Fostered, which I'm truly grateful for because we normally talk about wellness, health, fitness, and I love all those things. All those things are great, but that is not who I am 99% of the time. Like I am a girl who loves pop culture, television, and so I feel like this episode is a really great branch into getting into some of the other things that I want to chat about on the podcast, because I don't think we talked about wellness at all. Like our conversation is so wide-ranging and all over the place, and I truly love it. And so without further ado, here is my conversation with Divine Philomond.
No, I was saying I have the worst Wi-Fi ever because like it was already touch and go before, but then we had like a tornado and then a freeze and like knocking, like there was a couple weeks ago I had to call the police because like one of the trees was getting set on fire from like an electrical pole. And
Oh my
like
God.
like it's so dramatic, it's so annoying. But ever since then, like my Wi-Fi has just been like off the chain questionable. So yeah, sorry about that.
No, thank you. I just was listening to your episode on ghosting a week ago, and I was like, not her ghosting in the middle of the podcast.
No, I would never ever, because like, you know, it's crazy because like I'll have like meetings with people and like from the jump the meeting is going so bad and I'm like, you know, I could just turn on airplane mode. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, let's not do that. Let's like give people their well-deserved time, but no, I would never.
No, I relate to you on the tornadoes. I moved to Nashville for college, and there was like a huge tornado. I don't know. It literally tore up everything around us, and somehow we survived it, me and my boyfriend. And so I do not miss that about the South. I live in the Bay now, so I do not miss that about the South at all.
Listen, yeah, my friend who lives in Nashville lived through that tornado. And the other day she said something so profound to me. She was like, it's not just weather anymore. Like, it's not like weather is not just weather anymore. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's like your life flashes before your eyes. Like, every time there's like a thunderstorm, like, I get so nervous every time there's a thunderstorm because, like, that tornado. And it's funny because, like, when you have severe weather like that, you don't what's happening in your mind is not what's happening outside. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I imagine a tornado, like, you know, going through my street and like ripping everything up, like I had a fence of trees and it just like smashed them in half.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and there were big trees, like like I want to say like 40-foot trees, like with like 20-foot roots, and they were like out of the ground. And what I imagined was just like a white cloud, like a huge funnel, just like, you know, swooping things up. But I watched a video from another tornado the other day, and it's like, it's a skinny little line.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I wouldn't even say it's like the diameter of like a driveway. And it's so
Yeah.
specific. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, it's so, now like everything like freaks me out when it comes to weather.
No, my boyfriend was watching it as it was coming to us, and I was like, like he was literally in the window watching it, and we didn't realize the severity of it until like after seeing like all the chaos. But yeah, it doesn't look like what you think it's gonna look like
It
when you're in
doesn't.
it.
And then you see like storm chaser TikToks, and it's just like they're like funsies. Let's run after this
Yeah.
tornado, and it's like, what?
Okay.
Right, right. But all that to say, sorry about that. And if it happens
No,
again, I'll just try to get back on again.
it is okay. Thank you so much for rolling with the punches and adjusting. All right. So
Absolutely.
I don't know where we left off, but I do like to start a lot of podcasts off by just asking, what is your story? Just so I can get an understanding of like who you are. And everybody pretty much answers that differently. So I'm interested to see how you take that question on.
That was actually what I immediately thought of. I was like, what angle do you want me to approach this from? Um, what is my story? I don't know. I guess I don't know. I think my story weirdly starts enough with the podcast and like with starting therapy because it's so all encompassing when it comes to my life because the podcast is very personal. It's a
Hmm.
journal. And I feel like I don't remember a lot of my identity before therapy because it was such a miserable little existence.
Mm.
So it wasn't until that like I had therapy that I felt like I wasn't just living, like I wasn't surviving, but like I was an active participant in my life. And I think, even you just moving the mic, I literally was like, is that thunder?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm
You're
so
good, you're
sorry.
good. Look at you triggering my PTSD. Wow.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. Like, for a second, I was like, "What's going on?" But anyways, but yeah, so I think, being in therapy really helped me kind of make a story. It kind of helped me write a story. I think, before I would describe, like, my life as, like, I had a lot of thoughts, I had a lot of dreams and a lot of hopes, and they were all kind of brainstorming, but going into therapy and doing a lot of self-reflection and a lot of work on myself and like really, what's that word, like not over analyzing but intellectualizing my emotions
Mm-hmm.
and
Versus
putting a,
feeling them.
yeah, and being able to find a balance in that because I love to intellectualize my emotions. I like that because it helps me process, but so it's very easy to avoid the process part of that. And um and I think therapy really helped me like find out who I was and help me realize that like I was a living breathing human and that I should treat myself as such. And the more that like I learn about myself and like my wants and my needs and like my hopes and my dreams and my likes and dislikes, the more I see my life progressing on its own. It's almost like watching like a carpet unroll.
Mm-hmm.
And so my story is still being written. I don't know what's going on. The writer is brainstorming. She's got some ideas. Some of them are bad. Um, but we're in the writer's room. So we're working on it. And I think I'm excited to see where my story goes because like I don't have a story yet. I think I'm
Mm.
just in the beginning pages.
Oh, I love that. That's probably my favorite response that I've gotten to that question. That's so beautiful.
Thank
What
you.
age did you start therapy?
Um, oh, let me do some math. I always forget how old I am.
Girl, me
Um,
too. I never know. Because I feel like pandemic, I'm like, I'm still a baby. I'm a wee babe. Like,
Mhm. Yes. Like, my answer to how old I am is either 17 or 29, and then
hmm,
those both of those are wrong.
same.
I'm 27. I started therapy, I wanna say maybe 24. 24, and I really should have started at, like, 16, to be honest. If I started therapy at 16, I would, like it'd be the United States of divine, to be honest. But yeah, I started only like 3 years ago, but it's been so life-changing and, like, so helpful. I recommend. Even if you think you're great, I recommend.
Yeah, and I love all the resources you share around free therapy too, like on your podcast, because I feel like it does feel inaccessible a little bit, but through you and Sadie Baddies too, I feel like you guys both do a great job of like sharing resources on like how you can figure out, or even if it's just like once a month, like whatever you can like work into your life. Like it doesn't have to be like literally twice a week.
Right, right. Twice a week I is a lot. When I started therapy, I think I was going twice a week and I was like, "Do I like this lady?" And I just
Mhm.
realized that I was seeing her a lot and I'm avoidant. So I was like, "You're a little too in my business. Like 2 hours out of the week I'm talking to you and telling you my business? Like, I
Mhm.
don't know about that." But yeah, therapy was like really hard for me to get a hold of because at a certain age, I lost my health insurance like I think at 23 and I wasn't on my parents' health insurance, so most people have it until they're 26. I didn't have that. And when I did have health insurance, I didn't go to therapy, which I was like, dang, like I should have made use of that. But it was so expensive afterwards. Like, even like the initial intake, I feel like that's such a hump because, like, initially, like, you have to come up with like 300, $250 just to be seen, like, with
Mhm.
just to fill out a piece of paper that asks you, like, medical history, like all of this stuff, and it's daunting and it's jarring because it
Mhm.
is a lot of money upfront, and you're not covered by health insurance, and it's very expensive. So I feel like free therapy really is necessary, and I wish like there were more resources. But the resources that there are, like the Loveland Foundation Therapy for Black Girls, the Other People Fund, I really like naming those because they literally just give you therapy. Like, they give you therapy, and even if you don't need therapy, you can donate to them to make sure that other people get therapy. Because like I know some people, like some places, they'll be like, "Oh, we'll cover 70%," or you have to go to like this clinic, whatever. They're like, "Here's the vouchers, ask them if they take the vouchers. It's money. You just
Mhm.
don't get to handle it." So I hope that a lot more foundations like that will come out in the future for sure.
I hope so too. When you started therapy, did you have to go through a round of like figuring out like what therapist was good for you, or did you kind of like hit it out the park with your first one?
You know what? I My friend actually referred me to the clinic, which is Atlanta based. So it's
Okay.
like Atlanta's like even in the name of it. So when I first logged on the website, I was like reading through all the people, and there was like a white lady, she's really great with grief. There was a I want to say she was Middle Eastern, and that's who she had, and she was telling me that like she didn't really feel like she related to her. And I'm like, yeah, cuz you're like a white girl, and like this lady's probably used to dealing with like very traditional issues that like come across in like different religious and customary backgrounds. And so she was like, I feel like we didn't relate a lot, but I read through everybody's bio and I was like, I'm gonna just go with the black girl.
Mhm.
And I went with her, and she's been my therapist since. Because the very first thing she asked me when we logged on to meet each other, like face to face, via Zoom, she was like, it was that day on Twitter where everybody got their black superpowers.
Yeah.
And the first thing she asked me, she was like, did you get your superpower? What is it? And
Oh.
I was like, "Oh my god, you get me." I was like, "You're on the
Mhm.
internet, like, you're culturally in tune." And I felt so comfortable with her just because of that. I was like, "Okay, so, like, you saw me right when we started.
Mhm.
You recognized my age, you knew I was on the socials, and you put that here and you made me feel comfortable." And, like, even now, like, I was telling her, because 'cause I'm always talking about moving, whether or not I will move, who knows? But I'm always telling her, like, "I'm gonna go to this place and whatever." And I'm like, "We're gonna have to figure something out because you're my bestie, do you know that?"
Yeah.
She shouldn't be, but, like, I just like her a lot. Not breaking any not breaking
Mhm.
any hippopotamus laws. But yeah, she really made me feel comfortable and, like, very much created a space where I just felt like I wasn't gonna be judged, but also if I needed judgment, she would be like, "I would look into that," you
Okay.
know? So, yeah, but that's my first therapist and my only therapist. I had a psychiatrist who I did not like at all.
Yeah. I did not realize the difference when because I was trying to get some. I thought I had ADHD and I was going in for that. And she was like, no, babe, you got depression, you got anxiety, you got all this other shit. And like, she didn't even touch on ADHD. And so I was like, you know what? I came here for one thing and you didn't give me what I wanted. And so I was like, done with, done with her. And she was like laughing at me. Like I told her, so I moved to California because I feel like I have seasonal depression. And But in the Bay, there's like this thing called Carl the fog. And so it'll just be like super foggy out of nowhere. And when I was telling her that, she just literally started laughing. And I'm like, bro, I'm not I'm not here to entertain you, babe. Like, you're here to help me.
In her defense, Carl the Fog is kind of hilarious. Like,
Yeah, no.
can you imagine? Just imagine your name is Carl, and everybody's like, "Ah, here he comes! Wow,
We
he's
hate
about
Carl the fog.
right. He's about to mess up our mood." It's crazy because I never thought about that. You guys are y'all are north, and y'all are very close to the water, so that fog is very. Yikes! Oops, sorry about that.
It's a beautiful sunny day today, though, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, congrats. But yeah, psychiatrists, like, I wonder if it's all of them because the lady I had, this lady, I did like I was like, I'm reporting you, like for real. She like no, for real. Like she broke HIPAA to start because she told me who one of her clients was. And
Oh no.
I was like, if you think I'm gonna let this shit slide, I'm not like at
Mm-mm.
all.
Was she
And
black?
she was black. But she also laughed at me one time, just like you. And I was like, oh, I ain't say nothing funny, girl. Make me laugh. I want to laugh too. Like,
Make me laugh, Beyonce voice. Yes.
make me laugh. Period. That's so funny. But
Uh-uh.
like, but she was so rude. And like I remember like recently, and I think they realized I wasn't effing around because the thing that really scares me as psychiatrists is if you people are people. Like it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, if you're a therapist, if you're a psychiatrist, whatever. Like people are people. And as a person who has to really put my mental health in your hands and also my physical safety, because you can ship me to the loony bin anytime. I am very careful and cautious when dealing with psychiatrists because I'm like, what if you're a crazy bitch too? Like, and then I say something you don't like and you just ship me off to the loony bin.
I didn't
And
even
like,
think about that. This is giving me so much anxiety.
listen, like, that's how she made me feel. Cause like, at first I was like, you know, I had issues with her because she would come in late and then she would like yell at me, not to like go on a whole tangent about this lady, but I hate her. But she would come in late and she would yell at me, like yelling, like yell, like, and I'm like, this is a lot. And one time she came in late and I asked her something about my bill. The biggest mistake in my fucking life. I should never ask this lady about my bill. Because when I tell you, she started ranting, venting. Like, she was like, that is not what I do. She was like, like energy to the roof.
What?
Like, yes. And she was like, that's not me. That's not my business. I was like, what's going on? What? I was like, am I
Where
being
did she get off yelling at anybody in a mental health space?
exactly. And like, that's exactly what I was thinking. And I was like, you know what? I was feeling real feisty and spicy that day. And I was like, I could go off on you, but I'm going to chill out because you could send me to the loony bin. You could literally just call. It was very much giving me the vibes. Like, I felt very threatened by her.
Do you watch Riverdale? Do you?
I did until that
Okay.
show. Like, I'm traumatized by Riverdale and teen
No,
drama.
same, but I cannot stop watching. I'm chronically addicted to a CW show.
The fact that you're still watching Riverdale, you deserve an award. Like,
I can't stop watching and I have no idea why. I just really want to see how they're going to resolve it.
babe, they're
I
not.
was,
They're not. They're not. You're just gonna be there until the season ends. I hope you know that.
it is this year, thank God. So I can be
Thank God.
free.
Oh my God. You're a victim.
Yes, I
Okay.
am. Actually, yes, I truly am a victim. I truly am
Like,
of the CW.
but she was giving me Riverdale, like low key.
Yeah, that's what this is reminding me of. They're about to ship you off to our sister of Quiet Mercy. That's what it's giving me.
And that's exactly how I felt. So I sat there and I was just like quiet. You know, this lady, mind you, she was 20 minutes late to our appointment and our appointment is 30 minutes. So I'm like, that is a like 70% discount, girl.
Literally.
You know, she sent me a bill and a letter warning me that she was going to send me to collections after sending a week in between, mind you. She sends me a bill. I've only had 2 appointments with this lady. I paid them both. My third appointment was when she yelled at me. I hadn't paid that yet because I was like, when I got off the phone with her, I called the office. I was like, give me my file.
Yeah.
I was like, send me my file immediately. Take me off your roster. I'm not a patient. And like, no, I was like, get me out of here. Like, I was like, I already told my therapist about this. She will no longer be recommending y'all to anybody. And if y'all put me in the loony bin, she will come for me and get me out because I'm not crazy. And that one day, she was trying to tell me that I had schizophrenia, psychosis,
That's what
narco.
takes me. I'm like, where are these diagnoses coming from? Like, how do you
Right.
get to just tell me this?
And then she
But
was
maybe that's what I'm coming for. But also, like,
And she was like, you're kind of giving me bipolar disorder. And then she was like, because you also, what did she say? I told her that I took melatonin and that triggered her. And she was like, oh, so you're an insomniac. I was like, who said that, girl?
who said that? Who said that? And not you're giving me bipolar. Did she say that?
Yes.
You're giving.
She was like, this is giving me bipolar. Meanwhile, I'm like, no, I know bipolar people and you're giving me bipolar right now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Because
You're giving me
I was
bipolar.
like, because we're jumping through a lot of emotions very quickly. And then after all of that, she sends me a bill for $1,200,
What?
which is not, looking at this bill, there's only one item on there and it's just a block $1,200. Nothing is itemized. So I was like, what the fuck? So she sent me to collections 2 days later. And then I called them and I was like, I'm not paying this. I was like, I need an itemized bill ASAP. Like, I need that. And I'm finna call my lawyer. Do I have a lawyer? No. But I started like threatening
We
up and
got
down.
one now.
Period. I was like going full biatch on the phone. You know, like a week ago, I got a letter from them and they were like, oh, we have worked your bill out. You only owe $50. And I was like,
That's what I
I
thought.
I was like, "Uh-huh, thank you." Like, so I feel like low-key psychiatrist office, you really have to be careful with them because, like, her, I wouldn't have been surprised if she was in cahoots with, like, the loony bin to send people in there to make them
That's what I'm
crazy.
saying. That's what I'm like. That's what this is giving right now. This should be a show. I'm like, this should be its own little show.
Like, for real, I was like, not to be a conspiracy theorist, because, like, I have friends who have great psychiatrists. Like, I have friends who have left their therapist for their psychiatrist because their psychiatrists were better than their therapist. And I'm like, that's low-key what I was hoping for. But at the end of the day, like, you constantly have to remember that people are people, and as much as they need to be professional, they work off of the same motivations as everybody else, and that can cloud your judgment and
Yeah.
your moral compass. And like that's really what that lady thought me. So, fuck her, but we love a medical professional.
Yes, we stand the medical professionals that do good
Yes.
work.
Exactly. God bless them.
I don't know
That
how
was
to segue out of that at all.
I was gonna say that was such a long-winded story. I'm so
No, it
sorry.
was I'm very entertained by that personally. And I'm just glad I'm not alone in my psychiatrist horror stories.
Oh no, there's a lot of them. Trust, trust.
You said that you went to the doctor today. I'm just wondering how that experience was. I personally hate going to the doctor as a plus size person, so I'm wondering, were you received kindly? Are things getting better?
You know what? I am really lucky because my doctor is also a fat lady. So,
Oh.
yes, my doctor is a fat black woman who she has locks and she is like wears like full colored nails. Like she is a great lady. And she is the best doctor I've ever had cuz I go to a family doctor and she will run everything in your blood test cuz she doesn't like not knowing. So like
Mhm.
I went to her recently cuz I even though like I exercise and I eat okay, like I just noticed that I was gaining weight very rapidly and it wasn't kind of making sense to me as to why. And in my family, we have thyroid issues, so some people just you have one metabolite and she's working her freaking ass off to try to get you to live, okay?
Mhm.
So I went there because I was like, I need to get my thyroid checked out because it doesn't make sense like how my metabolism is not functioning right now. Because the only way I don't lose weight, I just build muscle. So I went to her to like talk to her about that, and she basically ran like every test she could to try to figure out what was going on. And she's really great. Like I think, like, again, when you are seeing medical professionals, people who really have your life in their hands, you have to really be able to be an advocate for yourself,
Mhm.
because you are paying them. At the end of the day, you're paying them for a service. And that doesn't give you the right to be rude or anything like that, but it does give you the right to demand that you be treated fairly and that you be treated with respect as a human being, and that your doubts and your worries aren't casted off to the side. And that's why, there are patient advocates, and I'm lucky enough in my family that, like half of my family are like doctors and medical professionals. So there's some things that, like, I'll tell them my experience at the hospital, and they're like, "Yeah, no, that guy shouldn't have graduated school. Here's what you go back and say." And, that's a lot of research that you can do on your own, but when you walk in and you're educated about everything, they can't bullshit you. You can't look at me and tell me that, "Oh, this is happening just cuz you're fat." No, it's not. No, it's not. You need to check this. You need to look at that. And then what? Like, what are you going to tell me? Now that you've killed me, I'm sorry. We're on the
Yeah.
medical track. But it just came out. I'm so sorry. But it's like, what are you going to tell me when I know things and I understand what you're saying to me? So, like, you always want to find somebody that respects you as a human and doesn't just see you as this thing in the room that needs to pay and leave.
Mhm. No,
So
that is so real.
I love my doctor. I love her. She's great.
Ugh, that makes me so, so happy. I'm looking for that. That is what I'm on the hunt, the prowl for. Okay,
You can find it.
yeah. I feel like there has to be good people. I just am traumatized, I think.
Oh, same. Same. I had a doctor who, like, when I was seeing her when I was 6, she was saying, like, I had high blood pressure at 6, that I needed to be on blood pressure medication, like, and it just wasn't true. It just wasn't true. And, like, come to find out, she would tell, like, a bunch of parents that, like, she would tell, like, a batch of parents who were barely English speaking, mind you, that their kids had, like, some long-winded medical issue just to get them on medication. And it was like, what the fuck is the point of that? Like,
Big
so
pharma.
right. So she would always do that. And I think, honestly, I think she lost her license. I'm not even gonna lie.
Rightfully
Um,
so.
right. So there are, like, crooks out there and there are people who suck, but there are also people who like being doctors, who like figuring things out. And you just have to really align yourself with those medical professionals.
That is so true. You've given me so much hope. Okay, I want to transition a little bit into your content creation side of things because personally, I'm obsessed with your podcast. I'm obsessed with all the content that you put forth. But like, you are also like, are you shooting everything yourself and editing everything yourself
Yeah.
and your set design?
Yes.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like I have no words. Like it, and then like the amount of content you put forth, like on a daily basis, literally has me gagged every single day. Because I'm like, how does this woman have the time and the energy to do all of these things? How did you get into videography? How did you get into all of this?
Well, to start, I want to let you know that I don't have the time or energy to do all this. I'm constantly stressed out and or crying. But, like, in a decent way that's not worrisome at all. But I actually went to I went to school for film.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I went to school for film, and I was like, "This is the biggest mistake of my life." On my graduation day, it was like I was getting cold feet, but I already paid, and I just had to get the piece of paper. But I was like,
Did you want
I
to go to
can't.
school for something different?
No, I wanted to go to school for film. It was just
Okay.
until the last year I had a professor. Actually, my last 2 years I had a professor who I would name right now, but he's the kind to sue somebody. But he was such a jerk, and he picked on me, like, a lot. And I remember one time he said, he was like, he was a producer on Teen Mom, and he was like, my goal every day was to wake up and ruin those girls' lives and make them cry. And I was like, I was like, "Oh, buddy, this is not who I am." Like,
Mm-mm.
he was like, "Your job as a producer is to make drama and to make people's lives harder than it has to be so you have content." And I was like, "No, like, I this doesn't mesh well with who I am." And I was like, "If this is how I have to move in this industry, if I have to really put my morals to the side and be someone I don't want to be, like, I don't want that. But I was very thinking about it in one dimensional, because I was like, it doesn't have to be like that, but I was so encompassed in like this world that I thought that was the only option. But I went to school for film, so I got a lot of insight on lighting, on recording, on sound. I loved sound. Like, I would build whole soundscapes from nothing, and just like create a whole world out of just sound, and I was really good at that. So when I decided to do the podcast, my high standards would not let me get away with just like a crappy little recording. And
Mm-hmm.
then even when I did a good recording, I was like, that background is ugly. So then, I'm very extra. And I was like, all right, well, let's put this wallpaper up and let's build this out. And it's all a learning journey because, like, my set now does not look how it looked in the beginning. And it might not look the same in a couple months. So I just I do as much as I can by myself, but it's hard.
I'm continuously inspired by you. I also went to school for film and have been slowly transitioning from moving behind the camera to front of the camera. And I think I always wanted to do that. That's what I was asking, like, why did you regret it? Because now I'm like working with so many people in content creation and just doing things who did not go to school and don't have as many student loans. And I'm like, I could have just
Lis
skipped all of this and not have to
that
pay Sally Mae $200+ every single month.
listen, that's me. That's me, sis. I am you, you are me. We are the same thought. Because,
Yeah.
like, the amount of people, I'm like, I'm happy that I went to school. I am, because I think having an education, no matter how, the fact that you have freaking After Effects on your phone now, which I'm like, you're lucky.
And
Like,
Rush, Premiere Rush, like just
listen,
or me even CapCut. Like I feel like I edit with CapCut way more than I do with Premiere.
when I tell you, when I first started content creation, I did all of my videos in Premiere, and I would like I would export the clips, and I would do all the captions and all the effects on Premiere. It took so much longer to do it that way, as opposed to doing it with CapCut. I'm like, CapCut. I'm like, bitch, I paid a degree for this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving the tweens this to make Tic Tacs. Do you know how bitter I am? Like, beyond bitter. Because I'm like, thank you for simplifying, but like, fuck, I paid money for this.
No, my sister showed me, like, she's like 14. She showed me a velocity, one of those velocity edits, and I was like, damn, this is like really hard. Like,
That's what I was thinking about when you brought up CapCut. Because that velocity edit, I think that's when the old hag in me really, like, the old bitch in me. Because, like, there's people, they're like, I had to pay my student loans. You have to pay your student loans too. I'm like, I had to pay
yeah.
for your fucking education. I'm going to delete this app. I'm going to ban this. Like, I'm like, you know how long it took me to learn how to do that shit on Premiere? Like, and y'all just out here.
How many YouTube tutorials I had to watch over and over again just to get it in my like y'all over here just with the templates, those little. I love those velocity edits, but yeah, they piss me off.
They pissed me off. Exactly. Like, literally, the other day I was in Canva, and I was like, okay, like, I have this picture. I have to get rid of the background. Let me put it into Photoshop, and then I'm gonna and then I'm gonna put it in Canva, and then I'm gonna and Canva was like, would you like to remove the background on this one? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you fucking
You fucking
how you
bitch.
you think you better than me? You think you're better than me? Like, is that what you think?
I resisted Canva for so long because I was like, I love Photoshop. Photoshop is the best. Da, da, da. I was like a fucking Photoshop slut, Adobe slut, and
Literally.
Canva is. I am obsessed with Canva. It just makes everything so much easier.
Listen, I've never paid $119.99 for a year of worth of bullshit in my life as I have with this. And like the
Mm-hmm.
other day, I was thinking about how my Adobe subscription is about to end because I'm about to be fun employed, and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna do now? I have to pay $50 a month for Adobe." I was like, "No, you don't,"
No, you do not. Because
because
CapCut got a desktop version now.
I'm not okay. Like, I'm just not.
And honestly, Adobe's gonna have to do something to keep up with the girls because $50 is not
It's
appealing.
not. No, it's not. And also, Adobe, their app sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on your phone.
Yeah, I
It
hate
it
Rush.
Like I use the little Photoshop app just for lighting because I feel like it does have a better grasp on lighting than a lot of like the other apps. But I'm just like, this is not it though. Like, and you want me to plug in like my subscription? I'm like, no, 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 no,
Mm-mm.
no. Like, it's crazy how quickly things are moving. But I did learn a lot of things in school that I feel that you can't learn on an app. And
Yeah.
those things include, how to work with people, how to be a professional in a very unprofessional lane, in a very unprofessional profession, because
Mm-hmm.
film is very, how do you say, she lacks professionalism,
Mm-hmm.
like people be fucking, I'm sorry to take it there, but they just lack the professionalism.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like I learned a lot of the ways how to navigate that in school, and having to be around producers with big egos, like actors with egos, or like actors with not enough ego. So I will never regret the life lessons that I learned, but I regret it.
Well, I feel like that is what clearly sets you apart from like the millions other people who are like popping up with a podcast, like your longevity, your storytelling ability. Like I literally was like laughing out loud in the nail shop, like listening to your podcast. And I'm like, you have to be quiet because people will think you're crazy. So please stop laughing. But I think all of that just comes into the content, and that's what makes it so, so good and so delicious.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, because that is one of the things that I remind myself of. Because like I have those moments where like yesterday I had a meeting with somebody and they were telling me how, these numbers that I have, like they don't align with the numbers that one of their clients have. And I had to ask this lady, I was like, and how many Instagram followers does your client have? And she was like 200,000. And I was like, what's the point? Like, you have somebody who's famous because they got famous. They're famous
Mm-hmm.
for being famous. And they're not doing any of this. Like, they're not setting up their set, they're not recording themselves. If they had to do it alone, they probably couldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you're trying to compare me to that. And I'm like, it's not the same resources and it's hard. And like
Was
I
this like a
agree.
brand that was wanting to work with you or something?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I was like, no, I was like, I should have canceled this meeting when I had the chance. But I was just like, I think there's a certain nobility, or that's at least what I tell myself so I can sleep at night, is that there's nobility in the hard way, the way that you have to do things by yourself, the way that you have to figure everything out, and you are a perfectionist, so you work hard to get things to look the way you can because you don't have a rich dad to give you like,
Mm-hmm.
a couple grand to like
Or
do a
you're not a
little
nepo
dance.
baby.
I wish I was a nepo baby, but I'm
Me
not.
too.
I know, I know, I know, I know. Deep ancestral sigh.
Yeah.
Yep,
I just finished watching Daisy Jones and the Six, and I'm like, oh, to be a nepo baby.
literally. Or at the like this morning, not to go off tangent, but it was still relating. This
Okay.
morning, I was ranting about this same thing to my sister, and my sister was like, "Back in the day, there was Star Search. There was
Yes.
like American Idol was actively recruiting off the street. Like, can you sing? Oh, okay, you think you
Mm-hmm.
can sing? Come with me." Now,
Casting directors.
like they wanted undiscovered talent. Like they'd go in the fucking Midwest and walk around in a mall. Like they
Mm-hmm.
wanted that, and now these people want someone who already has like 10 million TikTok followers. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, there are people, and who most of them are black, because the TikTok algorithm has its own thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, I have backwards and forwards feelings about that, because you have to think also a lot of these apps are made in Asian countries, who like there's not a lot of black people in Asia, so of course it's going to recognize lighter faces because that's not like their custom, like that's not like their they're not ethnically diverse is what I'm trying to say, or if they are, they ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, so I'm trying to beat a system that's not necessarily made for me. So when I do run into people who, like one of my management teams, that lady, she straight up told me, she was like, whether you had 50,000, 100,000, or 50 followers, after this meeting, I would want to represent you either way.
Mm.
Because she was like, you have what people want. And I think if people aren't just focused on numbers, they're going to see that and they're going to put you up front. And I appreciate when people do that because so many people want you to put your whole life in an app that could get deleted tomorrow. And it's like, what does that give me? It doesn't give me a lot because a lot of these people on TikTok, a lot of them you're not going to recognize out in public, and
Mhm.
who have millions and millions of views and likes and whatever. You might think like, "Oh, they look familiar," but you're not going to feel connected to them. And I think that's one thing I want to say is that my audience, like I feel extremely connected to them because it's very personal what I'm talking about, but also like I answer the DMs, like I look at the people who are reposting my stuff and like I talk to you guys. So I'm like I like that better, and I that makes me feel a lot better than thinking, "Oh, I don't have a million followers." Because I think that relationship is worth so much more than
No, totally. Because I will follow. Like, if TikTok got banned, I will follow you wherever you're gonna go. And I feel like so many of your listeners and community members probably feel the exact same way. Because what you're saying too, like you said, you are very vulnerable in like what you're speaking about. And I realized too, like that is the content that does well. Like I just had a video go pretty viral where I'm talking about my butt back. Um, and I feel like it's just like talking about the things that people maybe are a little bit scared to say, but we're all thinking. And I feel like I want to say the first video I saw from you on my FYP was you talking about like your body dysmorphia. I want to say, I think that's what it was. Like you were saying, like like every time you walk past the mirror, like
yeah.
being like shocked by your appearance, but like thinking you're a skinny girl. And I was like, I've never related to something more in my entire life.
Listen, you know what's funny? I get so many men who are like, "That's the first video I saw from him." I'm like, "Why? Like what? Like what does your internet browser look like?" Because like I'm confused. But yeah, like that vulnerability really sticks with people. Like there are so many people. Like recently, there was that video of that girl that went pretty viral and then made it onto Twitter. So of course, Twitter. But she was talking about how she really felt the need to be touched and how she was starved, like she was touch starved.
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah,
this.
and like and you always and she's on this video crying, and I really feel for her because it's like I understand that. And the thing that a lot of people aren't going to understand is why. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and then you have the people who say things like on Twitter, because Twitter is the bad place. You
Yeah.
have people who say things like, "What must be wrong for you that with you that nobody wants to touch you in 5 years?" And it's like, it's not about who wants to touch me, bitch. I can't get these niggas off me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, do I want to give the energy to somebody I don't love, who doesn't love me, who could leave me at any moment? Like, and those are things that like if you want to fight your vulnerability, you're not going to acknowledge. And you're just going
Mm-hmm.
to say, "What's wrong with you that nobody wants to touch you in 5 years?" That's you removing vulnerability from the whole conversation. But once you really look into it, you're like, yeah, think about the dating landscape. You think about your own experience. You think about, are my needs even being met at this moment, even with the person I'm with? I could be getting touched all day. Are my deep needs being met? And the answer might
Yeah.
be no. So it's like people feel all of these things and they go through all of these stages and nobody wants to freaking talk about it. And it's
Mm-mm.
like, open your yap. Like, just let it out because you're going to feel better.
Yeah. And I feel so bad too because it's like love when people are vulnerable. I love how you show up online and it's how so many people are like starting to share, but then they get met with so much shit in these fucking comments. And it's like, this is why people don't open up. Like, why would I share anything if I'm just gonna be getting a bunch of shit? Thank God, like on my butt back video, nobody has said anything mean, but I'm like, but on YouTube though, I get so many fucking hate comments, and it's like, this is why I don't want to do this sometimes. Like it makes it hard. It makes it really, really hard. Do you get hate comments? Do people? I'm like, I can imagine anyone
Oh,
saying anything mean to you.
oh, 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 I wish I could show you my I wish I could show you my notifications. But I get people who they social media stalk me, so they'll go from TikTok to my Instagram to my YouTube, just leaving a trail of hate. Like, and then my least favorite is when they go to my Apple Podcast, because then they fuck up my rating, and I'm like, you
Ugh.
bitch, get out of here. But like, I get people like that all the time. Like, and the thing is, I feel like it's taken me a while to get here. So I'm not saying you need to get here overnight, but to me, we're all living in our truth. If your truth is you being a little dipshit on the internet, losing your mind because somebody is in their best and their most vulnerable self and you can't relate and you're embarrassed for them, you're not embarrassed for them. You're embarrassed for
Mm-mm.
yourself because you couldn't imagine being as brave, as open, as not caring as that person. And you're kind of jealous. Like, that's what my mind goes to because I'm like, you wasting your time. You're out here like making videos to me telling me, oh, she's not thinking, you really think men like, ah, girl, I don't give a fuck. I don't. This is my reality right now, and I'm just gonna live in that. And your reality is being a hating ass bitch on the internet. I can't help you, girl. God can't help you right now. Deal with that. So it's like, it's not my problem. It's really not my problem. Like, I think the first time I got a huge wave of hate on TikTok, um, I definitely took it to heart because I think I was just so shocked that there were so many angry people in the world. And then I was like, I'm a bad bitch. I can't save them all. I got to worry about myself. And I just moved on.
That
Like
part.
a Bible verse, period. Because that's how you have to think about it. Because it's like, you cannot be held liable for people's insecurities, issues, and whatever. Like, I'm glad nobody said anything bad about on your back butt video. It's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad
don't even know
nobody
what the
said.
proper name for it is. I was just like talking about it in one of my try-on videos.
that's, that's hilarious though. You need to trademark that. But I'm glad nobody said anything bad because that's just your reality and you're talking about it and that's great. And if somebody does come and say something shitty, girl, guess what? They probably got a back butt too and they don't want to admit it. And they're
Yeah,
really trying to tell themselves that they have a Megan Thee Stallion situation. And the only way they can validate that is by telling somebody who has what they have that they hate it. So it's like, girl, fuck you too.
that part. That is what I'll tell them if they just
Period.
come.
Period.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to get into dating in Atlanta, if you don't mind sharing, because I just feel like that is probably the worst place to date. And I know you were saying earlier, like you want to move, and I'm wondering if like how much of that is fueled by like trying to date in Atlanta.
So, okay, so we're about to like re-traumatize me. That's okay. I'm open to that.
No, I'm not trying to.
Um, this place is a hellscape. Like, I thought it was me. I thought I was the problem.
It is not you.
And listen, when I'm in Atlanta and my hinge is on, I'm swiping, no matches. I'm not kidding. 0 likes on Hinge, months in between a like. And they uggo. No offense to the uggies, but they are, and they're not my type, you know? So, like,
No offense to the Uggy community.
no offense to the Uggy community. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, what's going on? Like, why does this app like put me in purgatory? Like, why? And then when I go out to the club, like the thing that I realize is like the men want to be the bad bitches and like they want
Mm-hmm.
you, like they're craving this attention that like just doesn't make sense in the situation. And it's just like, I'm not even going to sit here and try to decipher your sexuality because I don't think it's about that. I think like on a level, it's about like how much you like yourself. Cause like I've encountered so many men in Atlanta who are jealous of women and like who, whether it's jealousy about their careers or whatever. And that energy is like very, it encompasses you, like it's like a odor. So when they
Mm-hmm.
come across women, like they have such a stank attitude, but like they want to sleep with women, they want to be with women, but it's like at their core I think they hate women, which is funny and understandable. I don't know why, because women are perfect, but I had that moment where I hated men a lot, and so, like, my whole attitude towards men was very stank,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, like, that's what I was encountering a lot, and, like, another part of me is like, maybe it's me, maybe I'm not
But
as
that makes it
free.
make I'm like hating men makes sense to me, like more than hating women. But
Right, 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 like, one of these things is not like the other,
at all. One of
at
these things. I don't know if you
all.
like Taylor Swift, but
I if I like Taylor Swift, girl, I was
are you a
walking
Swiftie?
I'm a Swiftie. I am on the Era Tour resale Twitter every day trying to get a freaking ticket.
Okay. So, Atlanta might be hard. I was gonna say I literally tried out this hack last weekend where I was like watching the Arlington tour date, like the ticket sales, and like seeing how they dropped on the day of. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go, wait till the day of, and then like wait until like maybe even the opener is on stage if you don't care about the openers too much. And then you buy your tickets because they're gonna drop like flies. And I literally watched it for Arlington, Texas this past weekend. And so that is
Ooh,
the hack. I learned that from the Swifties on TikTok.
I might do that because I was also thinking like maybe I'll just go to Nashville because like the Atlanta
Mm.
tickets, I didn't even look at the price because I was like, it's insane. Like I don't even care to look it up. But I was trying to get, I don't care if it's one ticket. I'll go by myself. Like,
Yeah, that's how I am.
but
I will go by myself.
yeah, but I might do that because the one tickets that they have had on sale on the Twitter gets snatched up so quick, and I'm like, girl, like I wish you would just do like a matchmaking service. Like
Yeah.
you instead of like she make the Twitter private and then she's like, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
person needs a ticket. You go here. You go like I would love that. But we don't live in a perfect world. But I'm a Swiftie to my core. Like she
I
really
love
is.
finding other Black Swifties because I feel like we're few and far between, but we're
Oh, we
out
are
here.
few and far. You know what's crazy? One of my homegirls, like my best friend last night, I was like singing a song to her. Don't even remember what it was, but it was like a Taylor Swift song. And I was like, do you listen to Taylor Swift? She was like, oh yeah. She was like, all through high school, that's all I listened to. And I was like, because like she one of them black people that do not fuck with white people. I was like, and you love Tay Swift? I was like,
I
okay.
feel like every Black girl has like their few white women they choose to stand.
Listen,
Would you agree?
yes.
Okay. Who are your white
Yes,
women?
yes. My white who are your children?
Who are
Who are
your
your
white women
children?
that you've chosen?
Listen, I have a good amount of them, and like I have a good amount of them. Like 5 spots on the roster are like my close friends,
Mm-hmm.
and because they're two of my best friends are white women, and I love them because they know they're white women and they're not trying to be anything other. And I'm like, thank God,
Mm-hmm.
because they're I don't
No,
have to explain
you ain't even got to say it.
you know, but like celebrity white women
Mm-hmm.
is Taylor Swift, it's Lana Del Rey when she's not dating a loser,
Okay.
and yeah, it's because she be dating Republicans. And I'm like, girl, stop it. Stop it right now. Every artist has their issue. And her
Yeah.
issue is she just loves a nasty looking man. And I'm like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your problem? But we don't have to get into that today. And then Drew Barrymore and then Miley Cyrus.
Oh. Oh, Miley's on my list too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's such a
Because
sweet list.
like Miley is so fire. Like I love
Mm-hmm.
that she did not let Disney Channel kill her. I really appreciate that. I'm like I was scared and she made it through and I'm like I'm
Mm-hmm.
proud of you, girl. But the Bangers era was really hard. That was really
That was
hard. She
my
almost
first
lost
concert
me.
I ever went to in Atlanta.
So you became did you become a smiler during that time?
No. I was raised on Miley
Okay.
Cyrus. I just couldn't afford
Oh,
to go to a
period. Same.
concert before that moment. But yeah, I was
Oh,
there. I held her down in her Bangers era. I feel like I was the only person of my friends who actually really liked the Bangers album. I stand Bangers. I do not want any Bangers slander. I love it.
listen, I loved Banger's album. The Banger's appearance era, I was like, this is so I was like,
It was
I was at
chaotic.
the edge. It was chaotic. I was at the edge. I could only hold on for so long. I was like, Miley, the second album, you better not be cosplaying as no culture. I need you to be who you are. Like, I was like, I don't want to see I was like, I don't want to see a jersey. I don't want to see a basketball hoop. I don't want to hear a bass drum.
No
I don't want
Jordans.
to. I don't
No
want to
Mike
hear an
Will made it.
808. Nothing. I was like, I don't want an 808. I don't want a nothing. I was like, I need guitar and a cowboy hat. And then she released Malibu, and I was like, we are back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, we're
but
back.
That was so good about the Bangers concert. Like, she did a whole segment where she got back to like down to her roots and was just like, it was just like her stripped back with the guitar, and it was so good. But she also did have like very tall Black women like twerking on stage, and that was exciting to see. Like, me being my little 17-year-old self, like watching that, I was like, this is fun.
This is amazing. I feel enlightened. Yeah, who are your white women? I want to know. I'm curious.
Okay, so Miley, Taylor, Ariana Grande.
Love Ariana. Love her. Absolutely. Don't say that with
clearly,
shame.
I like a woman, a white woman that sometimes wants to have a little nigga in her, because like, all right. But I am very excited for Wicked. I'm trying to think who else. Sabrina Carpenter has slowly like been creeping her way up. I am obsessed with that little white girl right now.
Really?
Have you listened to her album, Emails I Can't Send?
I haven't. Are
you a pop girly? I mean, clearly.
I'm a pop girl. I'm a pop girly.
I mean, because like you had to know about like the drama with like her, Olivia.
Oh, I know it all. I know it all.
So you have to hear her side in the album.
Oh my! You know what? Okay, I think I would listen to it. It's gonna go on my list. Mentally making a note, because literally yesterday I was listening to Deja Vu, singing my little heart out to it, and I know the lore, but I had to stop listening to Olivia for a while because I was like, her energy is a little dark and off.
It is a little dark.
Yeah, because like she was. I don't know if it was her team, maybe, but like whoever made it known that the album was about Josh. What's his name?
Joshua Bassett.
Bassett. I don't like them. And I don't like that they did that, because like now looking how everything's unfolded, he doesn't have the support system of Olivia or Sabrina. And now he's clearly been through conversion therapy. And I'm like, look what y'all did. So I'm like the fallout of that album like is really kind of fucked. So like listening to it, and I was like, and then he's like gay, and then or bisexual, and then now
wait, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he is like, he came out as queer, and that was not a joke that he underwent conversion therapy, because it's very clear, because there are some tweens, he's not a tween, but there are some young adults who they come from like Disney or whatever, and then they get big on the internet and they're very open about their queerness, and then next thing you know, they're on stage talking about Jesus loves you, and it's very pointed dog whistly message.
Oh my god.
And it's like the very same lines, like the same thing happened like to Lohanthony, because like he was big in the queer space. He underwent conversion therapy. They meet a pastor who suddenly has brought them to see the light, and it happens so quickly that it's like, okay, this is torture. Like, you're not this, you don't want this. Like, you're pressured. Like, and you didn't find Christ because you can be gay and love Jesus,
Literally.
He loved everybody. But it's just,
I hate that for Josh, little Joshua.
Yeah, I do too. And I really hate to say it, but I think the popularity and the pressure of Brutal was it caused that. And so that makes me sad. But I will listen to Sabrina's. I'm so long-winded. I will listen to Sabrina's album.
No, I'm here for it. I'm like, do we need a podcast? Like, me and you? I'm just having so much fun talking to you.
We can talk about so freaking much. Like, I love that our vibe is like very much meshing. I love that. Because that's hard. Sometimes you start talking to people and you're like, oh my God.
No, I knew it. Like I said at the beginning, I was like, I feel like we would be friends in real life, especially because, like you said, we have that Atlanta-Nashville connection, and like Black pop girlies, we have to stick together. I'm obsessed with you.
Right. This is like our little safe space, our little sheltering. Because God, sometimes I tell people I like Taylor Swift, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, no.
Yeah. Oh, who are your toxic fave white people? Like, who would you not say, or who are you scared to say? I can go first if it'll make you feel better.
Okay, yes, go. Because then I'll be inspired.
Okay, so I do Like the Kardashians.
Oh, I don't think that's too rude.
Depending on who you're talking to, I get a lot of shit for it. I'm a Kardashian apologist. Not Jenner, though. Not a Jenner apologist. Just Kardashian.
You know, this is okay. So actually don't think that's that bad. I thought you were gonna say Jeffree Star or some shit.
Oh,
Like,
no.
you know, no.
Mm-mm.
But no,
Is Jeffree Star yours?
hell no.
Oh, okay.
You know, they remind me of like a moldy Ritz cracker. Never,
Yeah.
ever. And like, they're just so mean that I'm just like, no, I don't like that.
Mm-mm.
But I don't like all the Kardashians. I will say, I think the Kardashian Jenner clan is a very interesting study on womanhood and like feminine experience. It kind of reminds me of Little Women by Greta Gerwig.
Specifically Greta Gerwig.
Directed by Greta Gerwig, 2019, starring Emma whatever her name is, and Saoirse Ronan. Okay,
and Florence Pugh.
Period.
Love.
Florence. And Laura Dern.
Yes.
Yes.
Those are my favorite white women too. I love them.
Right. Like, honestly, I think Greta Gerwig gets my number one spot because I just love the way she talks about femininity and being a woman. Like, she talks about being a woman and femininity. She completely ignores all the bad shit, which I love because I want to live in a fairyland. And she just talks about like the camaraderie and like the sweetness of it. And like, I love that. Like, that makes me really happy because I don't always want to think about how much it sucks being a fucking lady. Like, so I love her, but I think the Kardashians are a very interesting like collection of people because like, I'm not gonna lie, maybe Kim is my toxic fave because I get emotional. I get emotional because she did it. Listen, she did. I think she's a great mother. I think she's a great mother. And I like got very emotional when she did an interview and she was talking about how she doesn't tell her kids anything bad about Kanye.
Oh, with Angela Rye, I think.
Yes.
Not Angela Rye. Angela, fuck. You know what I'm talking about, from the New York music lady.
Yes. Yes. I don't know her last name either, even though I just followed her on Instagram today, literally. But I like that. And I think no matter where else she fucks up, I think that says a lot about her character, that as much hurt and pain as Kanye has caused her, and as much as he says that she wants her children to feel so loved by their father that she's wanting to shield them from the truth about who he is right now and like what he's going through, because the man is mentally ill. So it's like she's very cognizant of that. And watching that, I was like, you know, Kim, like, you ain't all bad, because I know some crazy bitches who are a lot worse than you. But yeah, I would say that's my toxic. I feel like I don't really have a toxic babe, because like if I like somebody, I'm gonna like them with my whole chest.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Thank you. I'm gonna get some shit for it, but whatever.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay, well, I want to wrap it on up. This has been so fun. Like, this has been the best part of my day today.
Thank you. Mine too, honestly. I was a little stressed out this morning, but this has been like a nice, fun convo, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, I like to end each interview by asking, what is something that you're fostering for yourself currently?
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so like for me right now, I'm fostering more rest because I've been feeling a little bit burnt out. And that's just something that I'm working on. That is just something I'm trying to incorporate more into my life, because I can just go, but I don't want to be too burnt out. So I can't do anything. So yeah, just something like you're adding in, you're trying to incorporate maybe. Yeah.
Okay. I think right now I'm fostering like my femininity a lot.
Ooh.
Because I'm very much, I'm always scared to try new things and look a different way because I'm always afraid of how that's going to affect how I'm perceived. But I'm feeling very inspired by Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig, out July 21st, 2023. So, and like seeing all of like those bright, happy things, like I'm very like, I want to be back in my pink era. I want to be back in my super feminine era. And like, and to really love that and appreciate that, and to just like kind of be like my soft angel self, you know.
I love that.
Thank you. I'm fostering angel energy. That's what we're fostering.
Love that. No, I'm so excited for Barbie. Yeah, I want to be in my pink. I mean, you've already gone lighter with your hair, which is super cute. So
Thank
you're
you.
getting there.
Literally this morning I was like, I'm about to foster a Barbie personality so annoying and horrendous.
I cannot
Everybody's not
wait.
gonna be okay. Exactly. I'm so excited. I'm excited. This is for us. This is for the girls. This is a good
Hmm.
moment.
It's truly for the girls.
It's
Truly.
for the girls.
Well, thank
Period.
you so much, Divine. This has been so much fun. I really appreciate you. Is there anything that you want to plug or promote or tell the people they can find you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at VinePhilo, VinePhilo, and on TikTok and Twitter with the same username. And also listen to my podcast, POV You're My Therapist, which is released every Monday or Wednesday and always on Fridays.
And you have another one, Text to My Therapist, too. Or is that
Yeah.
this? Is that like, yeah, those are two separate podcasts, right?
No, they're the same podcast that I release on the same stream because
Oh,
I'm
okay.
lazy. Yes.
Well, what's the difference? Is it just like a different segment or like a different version? Or
It's a different segment because, like, on POV, I talk about like emotions and like therapy and all that stuff. And then on Text to My Therapist, I'm talking like pop culture and like the messy shit that like I would not waste time or money on to talk to my therapist about.
got you. Okay, love that. Well, thank you
Thank
again so
you.
much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for having me. Bye.
I am so grateful to Divine for coming on The Fostered. That episode was so hilarious. I love talking to her so much. I feel like you can hear it in my voice. I was just so excited to be chatting with her. Please follow Divine on everything. I believe on most platforms she's Vine Philo. I'll definitely have it all linked in the show notes. Definitely go check out her podcast, POV You're My Therapist. It is absolutely hilarious. It is definitely one of my favorite podcasts to listen to when you just want to turn your brain off. You don't want to always be, because I love a wellness podcast, I do, but sometimes I don't always want to be listening to one. Sometimes I want to turn my brain off, and POV You're My Therapist is perfect for that. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. I would really appreciate it. And also, if you love this, if you found it funny, please rate this episode 5 stars. If you're not already following us on Spotify, what are you doing? Give us a follow over there. I'm so appreciative of all the support y'all have given the podcast thus far. We are really going to grow it this year. I am back in my consistency bag. I'm remotivated for it. So hopefully we don't get too many more breaks like how we had before. The next episode coming out is going to be a solo podcast with me next week, and I'm just going to be chatting all about some life updates. I am going home for Mother's Day this weekend, so y'all pray for me, child. I love my family, but low-key they can be triggering, so y'all pray for my mental health. And if you're going home to see your family this weekend, or if you're spending time with your mom, I am also praying for your sanity. I hope it goes well. But also, yeah, show your mom some love. They deserve it, but they can be crazy sometimes. All right, I'll see y'all next week on Wednesday. Talk soon. Bye.